Yes.
So this week we are going to talk about why we do what we do. Why do we do what we do, Ange?
Why do we do lives and breakfasts at our house for women and retreats, right? I know that in my life, I have needed really strong women to surround me. I have needed life spoken into my heart at times. I've needed hope poured into me in times that I felt hopeless. And Barb and I really just kind of came into a place together at the same time. The Holy Spirit was speaking the same messages to us about how important it is to connect women,
Yeah.
to get women into a safe spot where they can be themselves, where they can be as vulnerable and transparent as they want to be, and where they can and grow and process and honestly just be treated like they're normal. Like there's things that us women go through that until we are around other women sharing their stories, sometimes we kind of feel like an alien, like maybe we're the only ones that experience certain things. And so yeah, I think the camaraderie and the relationship and the empowerment is really what motivates us, don't you, Barb?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I had to think about it when you were talking. It was years ago that I really didn't know exactly why I was doing it. But the Lord began to speak to me that women just need connection, right? And I was thinking, I was in a new town and I thought, okay, I, don't think we need another Bible study because everybody's a part of a Bible study. You're like, well, I
Yeah.
just finished that study and didn't really have anything in common. Long story short, I thought I'm just going to have a breakfast, invite a bunch of women with no agenda, and just see what happens. And I don't know about you, but I know in the past, you always think when you invite people, oh, would so and so get along with so and so on. And what I realized is the most unsuspecting people can become some of
Yeah.
your close friends,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes they're much older, sometimes they're much younger, and you just click, you connect, right? So that's what we try to cultivate with women, because when you connect like that, God is the one that connects. And there's things that you have, Ange, that I need. There's experiences that you've walked through that I may be walking through now, and you can help guide me, right? So that's one reason we do it. And then we just began to process so much of life together, and it was so helpful. It was literally life saving and altering for me to have you in my life, to have that safe place. And I just want to extend that to as many people as I can. So I think our lives are just kind of um, an overflow of what we've been for each other as friends and what we want to help other people discover, right?
Well, it's amazing because we have been establishing this kind of a relationship for what, 10 plus years now.
Mm-hmm.
And when we had our retreat in April, and for those of you that are watching, we have a women's retreat every 4 months. So it's April, July, October, and January. And they all build on one another. And we have been, like in this process of friendship for 10 plus years, trusting one another's hearts, giving each other a safe place to process. And when we had our April retreat, I mean, we had women coming up to us and saying, we've been watching you guys. Like, you honor one another in a way that we have never seen before. Um, there's no competition here. Like, we were so nervous when we came. We heard this, didn't we? We were so nervous when we came. And now we're like, whoa, we're seeing something that we don't normally see. And it is an honoring of one another. It's a celebration of each other's giftings and our purpose. And we were like, wow, God's been doing this thing. And we had no idea. I mean, we know it's special, but we had no idea what it was actually speaking out when we got into a public setting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I know, Barb, like, we have women from all walks of life. My light just went out. We have women from all walks of life. So we have young women, we have young moms, we even have sometimes some teenagers, 17, 18 years old. We have, grandmothers that come. We have all walks. And I don't know about you, but, like one of the things that as a young mom, I was like, I needed to know that I had a purpose outside of being a mom, outside of being a wife. And then, we pour our lives constantly into other people. And sometimes our identity gets wrapped up in that. And we are like, who are we aside from being a mom? Who are we aside from being a wife? And sometimes our identity gets wrapped up in our job too. And it's like you kind of question a little bit, like, do I have what it takes to operate in the spirit? Do I have what it takes to do other things besides like who is just in my family unit? And then you become an empty nester. And let me just say, when I became an empty nester, my whole identity got flipped upside down. I didn't know who I was aside from being a caretaker and a mother every single day. And I was like, what am I going to do with my life? And so, because we're in all different stages of life, I feel like these retreats are even that much more special, because when you start to connect with other people your age, you start to realize how common some of the cries of our heart really are as women. It's common stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And until we process, sometimes we don't realize that. And then we feel like out of place, like something's wrong with us. And we're going through the normal process and stages of life. And just to empower one another, it means not just validating where you're at, but it also means that it can literally promote you into the next place of your journey where you feel like you have purpose again.
Right. Right. Yeah. So that's kind of how it's transpired, our own life into this live that we do on Sunday nights and into the retreats that we're doing, to give women a place to feel nurtured, to feel encouraged, to feel supported, and to kind of like delve into what is in their heart, what
Yeah.
God has done uniquely in their heart, right? And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that's some of what we're doing as far as the breakfast, the lives, and the retreats.
Yes.
And just lately, we had to come up with a name for our ministry, and we've called it Real Time Ministries. So, do you want to expound on that at
Yeah.
all?
Real time ministries. I don't know about you, but a lot of us, um, we probably wonder, like, how can we move forward when we have this past, where we have hurts from the past, where we have things that we are still spiraling and worrying about, like 30 years later, traumas, that kind of thing. um, some of the things that we do in our retreats is we teach people how to get by their past.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can finally heal from the past, you are literally in what they call Kairos time. It's God's timing. And every day you become a living testimony. um, you will see in real time, on a day-to-day basis, through life's happenings, what God is trying to teach you and what you are to learn about your own heart and your soul. And Barb and I, why don't you share, like, we wrote a book together. We co-authored a book called Kairos Time with our friend Nikki. And Barb, why don't you share with them, like, what the Lord talked to you
What's
about whenever you were in
going on with
the
your life
process?
there? Do you have
I am,
strict light?
yeah, I'm trying to stay, I'm
It's
trying to stay lit. Okay. We're having a lot of
just
technical
so funny.
difficulties tonight.
Okay, yeah, it was, well, obviously I am, well, maybe not obvious to you, but I am not what I would consider anyone who would write a book. But of course, God asked me to do this back in the day. And we had all these deadlines. And I remember being so overwhelmed one time. And I was like, Lord, you need to give me like this chapter because I got nothing. Right.
Mhm.
And I'm having this conversation with him in the kitchen. And I'm walking to the kitchen and I hear him say, we're doing this in real time. And I'm like, I have no idea what that means, but I know that this is due on whatever day it was, and I need your help.
Yeah.
And said we're going to do it in real time. Well, what I didn't know, like as I wrote the book, it's so amazing what God does. Like I'm going into my past in the book and I'm writing these things down and he's giving me all this information for my life right now in the present, right? And it was like changing me as I'm writing. And then that week in particular, like a set of circumstances happened to me that literally I wrote about that week and that I needed for that chapter.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what it, that's really what it means to follow him, just to walk
Yes.
next to him in real time. Because I told Ange, you know, we learn from our past,
Yeah.
right? We see
Yeah.
God's faithfulness in our past. So it is very, it, it's valuable, our past, but we don't want to live there. We live here in the present.
Mhm.
So every little nudge that he gives, every little whisper that he gives is what we're to just walk in, right? It's this constant walking. It's not like I have all the answers now, now I'm going to go do it, right? It's
Yeah.
he wants us to come alongside and he teaches us in real time in the present, whether it's us gardening or us doing design work, whatever it is. Maybe you're a painter, maybe I don't know what you are, but that's when God speaks to us in things that are in real time, real life. And that's why our retreat is called Cultivating the Gardens of Our Heart. And we're going to be talking about nature, about gardening, about the things that we do and we love as women and how that relates to us. Um, so we just thought every time we do something, we're just like, oh my gosh, God is doing it in real time.
Yeah.
So the other day, like, we got to come up with a name for our ministry because people are like, what's the name of your ministry? We're like, I don't know. It's me and you. And so I said, oh my gosh, could it be real time? And we just laughed. And then we're like, oh my gosh, that's what it is. It's real time ministry. Because I'm telling you right now, people, we have got to live in the present. If
Yeah.
you want to feel alive, if you
Yeah.
want joy in everything that there is, you cannot be living in the past. You cannot be worried about the future. You have to be present right here and now.
Yeah.
And I can feel the Holy Spirit all over this.
Mm.
And you just need to be listening to him. That
Yes.
that is living to the fullest. You do not have to have the whole plan. We don't know what God has for us. We just know we're supposed to be here tonight sharing with you, encouraging you, and just in giving you our testimony, what God is doing in our life. And maybe there's something, a piece you can grab here, a piece you can grab there. Because that's what Ange and I do. We grab it from each other, which God is teaching her, you know. And that's what our retreats are like too. It's
Oh,
amazing.
yeah. And, God's just really like, he's really been speaking a lot to us about the heart. Like we know that the scripture says, out of the heart, everything flows, right? And our hearts deceive us. I mean, the Bible says that our hearts are deceiving, that only God knows the condition of the heart. And it's not until like crazy things come up in life or emotional, upsets or upheavals or drama or whatever that we realize like what comes up out of the heart. Sometimes we're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was in me. Like I have such hatred or judgment or
Mhm.
whatever that comes up out of me. And it's like, so really the heart is a barometer to show you where you don't trust God or where you believe lies or whatever. Like it keeps, the heart keeps telling you where it needs the redemption of the Lord. And so the heart has been like the message of the year. God's like, cultivate the heart. So in April we had a retreat at a barn, and this was not just any barn. Like this was a barn dominium, And it's a barn that Barb designed. She's a designer. And it was so awesome because she was able to take people through the barn like on a field trip. And she was able to say, you know, do you see the dreams in this barn? Like, do you see the potential in these pictures? She was shown before pictures and you couldn't see any potential. It was a mess. And she was showing how, you know, she went in and she repurposed things. Like she was showing how you could, you know, actually find value in certain things. Or maybe there was a part of the barn that looked ugly, but oh, maybe we can make something beautiful out of that. And she applied it. She paralleled it with the heart. And women were like, whoa, I didn't even realize that I can look at like my home or the rooms in my home and that it can reflect me. Like, really? And then our July retreat, July 5th, 6th, and 7th. The retreat that we're inviting you to now is cultivating the gardens of your heart. So, you know, I don't know if you realize this, but like everywhere in nature, it declares the beauty of God. Nature is, you know, the earth groans for the sons and daughters to find their rightful place. And, you know, the way the seed goes into the ground, the way that fruit is produced, the way we prune trees, you know, everything in the garden declares like there's tools and there's messages within that pattern, that design that from God that shows us how we can actually take care of our own hearts. And so we're going to take a field trip. We're going to be at my house in the middle of a state park. We have cabins reserved for you. If you want to grab your girlfriends, come to the cabins. We have swimming, we have a hot tub, we have a fire pit, and we have gardens. And we're going to take you outside. Yeah. And we are going to take you outside and we are going to show you how the world and how nature actually gives you a blueprint of how to take care of your heart. And then in October, we have embracing the seasons of the heart. We've got a whole message in that. In January, it is stewarding the chambers of the heart. And so each one of these retreats speak to different places of the heart, and it also builds on top of each other. And so if you want to attend one year and one next year or whatever, you have an opportunity to grab your girlfriends and hit a different retreat any chance you can, and just keep building on the next retreat and building your life and restoring the gardens of your heart. And God is so faithful. He's really given us some amazing tools. And you know, Barb and I, like she said, you know, it's real-time ministry. So we go outside, right? We work in our gardens and we listen to the Holy Spirit every time we go out, and we go, God, how can you use this to teach us so that we can teach you? And he does it in real time. It's amazing.
Right. It's really awesome. Yeah. So if you're a gardener, or if you would like to be a gardener, or you love the beauty of just nature, you do not want to miss this retreat. It honestly is going to be something that you're going to constantly be reminded of these truths as you go out and work in your gardens. And we just can't wait to meet a whole brand new group of women. And if you've been to the last one and you want to come, please come. It's going to be completely different information than the last one. So
yeah,
it's over a holiday weekend.
yes,
So one of these weekends that you could just have maybe your husband take the kids camping or fishing or something, and you could sneak away. And
yes,
you know what? I am going to do something for me, because when I do something for me, it benefits everyone. When we get refreshed, we can go back and refresh our families, and we can be the best that we can be.
yes.
So bring some girlfriends with.
Yeah, so just so you know, we have 5 cabins reserved, and each cabin sleeps 5 people. Now, you might end up in a cabin with some people you don't know, and that might bring you out of your comfort zone. But rest assured, I can let you know that in April, a lot of women came on their own. Some of them really wanted to back out, but they just got brave and they came and they made friends, and they were so glad that they pushed themselves out of their comfort zone. So we have these cabins reserved. ladies, literally, it's $50 per person. It's $25 a night for a 2-night stay. Like, you cannot get a cabin anywhere for that price. And it's in the middle of a beautiful state park. And if you're a local in the Nashport area and you want to drive back and forth, you can do that. And of course, we'll adjust the cost. But we want you to know we have cabins reserved. Check-ins probably 4 o'clock, I would imagine, on July 5th. And we'll start our festivities at 5 p.m. on Friday night, July 5th. We go all day Saturday, and then we wrap up the retreat by 11 a.m. on Sunday. And it's just oh, we just have so much planned. It's, we don't want to say too much because we don't want to spoil anything. But I will tell you that it is a time of true sisterhood. And if you are tired, and if you are worn out, and if you feel like you need refreshing, and you just need to rebuild, and you need someone to pour into you and spoil you, we are all about the details, and we want to make it an amazing girls' getaway. And so we're running an early bird special, and we're going to extend that to June 8th, right, Barb?
Yeah.
So why don't you tell them a little bit about the early bird special?
Okay, so the early bird special is $199, and that includes your stay, your 2-night stay, all your food, and we do not skimp on the food. It is not a bag lunch, I can tell you that. We have 2 ladies that this is their gifting. They love, one loves to cook and she's a caterer and she's awesome.
Yeah.
One of her best friends loves food art. Okay, so she likes to make things beautiful, present them beautifully. It's such a girls' weekend, I'm telling you. Hot tub, all that stuff. And when Ange said, some people wanted to back out, let me tell you a little bit about that. I think we all struggle with going, well, I don't know anybody. That would be really weird. And we still have these anxious feelings inside of us, even though we're grown women and we're powerful women and we're confident and strong women. And sometimes we don't feel any of those things. And we're just like, that freaks me out.
Yeah.
But I can assure you, there is not one woman that came that felt like that left feeling like that. They're like, oh my goodness, thank goodness I came. This was amazing. And when women feel like that and they have this safe place, we're all nurturers and we're all just bringing people in and loving on people. And that's what we promote over this weekend. So you're gonna be fine. If you don't know anybody, you know us. And even if we've never met, you know us, okay? And we're gonna love on you and it's gonna be a great time. So
Yeah.
take that step. Be courageous. And if something inside of you says, you know what, I need to go, just make it happen, because that's the way God does it in real time with us. He'll prompt us, Ange and I, do this, do that. Like, we're not comfortable with doing lives, and now that's what we're doing now. It's not anything that came easy or comfortably to us.
And we still mess up every week.
Yeah.
Like
We pretty much
lighting.
That's why it's easy. We don't care.
No, we don't.
We're expecting too much from ourselves. And so anyway, that's what the weekend's going to be about. It's a great price for what you get and for the cost of things, how everything is as far as food and everything right now, right? But you are so worth it. And we just want to love on you, pamper you, and encourage you. That's what this weekend is about. Plain and simple.
Surely you all have some girlfriends that want to do a girls' weekend. And some people are like, oh, that's a holiday weekend. And it's like, you know what? We all have those holiday weekends, and very seldom do us moms actually get time to ourselves. So be a little selfish that weekend. And July 5th, 6th, and 7th could be your holiday weekend. Hey, Barb, just real quick. I wanted to tell them about a couple weeks ago, my husband actually had a cyst removed from his side, right? And so the doctor was like, I don't want you doing anything for the next 2 weeks. Well, here we are, like in real time, we're getting our land ready. We're getting our gardens ready, our flower beds ready, around the pool ready for this retreat. And we have a limited time to do it because we're leaving on a family vacation at some point in the month of June too. And so some wonderful friends came. Barb and her son Jake were part of that. And they came for an entire weekend, and it was hard work, and it was hot that day. And we talk about how God talks all the time. And so Barb had a little story that she shared about when she stepped on the shovel to actually go down into the dirt for us to dig out this one flower bed. And I wanted you to just share a little bit about that,
Okay.
because it will show you how we apply everyday things to the soil of our heart.
Okay, so we show up, we're with friends, and we're like, oh, this is gonna be great. We're just gonna kill it, right? So we're looking at all this area that needs to be dug out, and they had started it, thinking that, you know, Dave could do this, and then they get this last minute information. Anyway, I'm looking at it. I'm a farm girl. I'm like, yeah, we got this, you know, give me a shovel. And I hit that ground, and it was like, I kid you not, it was like cement. I was like, what in the world? And then I looked down, and it's got to be at least 20, 30 feet that we have to dig up. And it is like, so I stick that shovel in there and I jump on the shovel, nothing happens. This ground is hard as a brick. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, like this is like, we've got to get this done. This literally is impossible. Like we need a backhoe, you know? And I'm like, we can't rent a backhoe on a Saturday. So anyway, so it got to the point where one of the boys, a younger boy, but he's very strong, they gave him a pickaxe and he's swinging this thing, and this thing's barely making a dent, but this kid just keeps going. So we're just like digging into the ground. I mean, I'm thinking this is not a fun weekend. Right. And then my son comes up. He doesn't weigh nearly as much as I do, and I'm like, Jakey, get it in there. And my poor kid's jumping on it. And you know, I'm expecting him to do something that I can't even do. You know what I mean? He doesn't even weigh as much as we. And anyway, so, and it's a blistering hot day, and I'm just thinking we got to get this done. So by the time I go to bed that night, I'm like wrestling with God. I'm like, what was that all about? That was no fun. And, you know, and I was frustrated inside because I'm expecting my child to be able to do this and that. I can't even do it, right? Because he weighs nothing. And then God begins to speak to me about how sometimes we have some hard ground to break, right? We know we need to do it. We're willing. We are willing. But there's times when we need somebody that's got a little bit more weight than we do, and they may need to swing a pickaxe at that ground, and we work together as a team. And then once that ground's broken up, we can get in there and dig, right? So we're, you know, before it was all said and done, we had this whole area done, and we don't know how we did it. Everybody's sweating, but everybody's helping everybody. And that's what life looks like sometimes. You know, sometimes we think, oh my gosh, I can do this. I want to do this, but it's literally impossible to do
Yeah.
ourselves. So we need other people swinging pickaxes, whatever they got. We can't expect somebody that doesn't even have the weight that we do in the spirit to break hard ground. You know what I mean? Sometimes we expect our children to do things that we're not even capable of, you know? But anyway, this is how God speaks to me, and speaks in real time. So all this, I don't know if it makes any sense, but
Sure.
in everything, there is a lesson he wants to teach us. And there's nothing like learning a lesson that he shows us first in the physical, and then he shows how it relates in the spiritual. And we go, oh, because we live here in the physical. And the spiritual sometimes seems it's hard to grasp, but he brings it together and it's like, ooh, makes sense, right?
It's so awesome. Yeah, I wanted you to share that example because it's, Jesus taught in parables. He used fishing, and all kinds of things to be able to teach his disciples because he made it relatable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we do at our retreats. We make things relatable. You'll never look at nature the same way again because you'll begin to see how everything in front of you applies to your heart. You'll
Mm-hmm.
never look at your home the same way again. When you go to our April retreat, the way that Barb correlates the barn with your heart, like it's amazing. Like you have no idea, women, how the desires of your heart, the longings of your heart are literally a way that you can express yourself in your own home.
Mm-hmm.
There are so
Yeah.
many relatable things, that so many ways that God has made us so uniquely designed.
Mm-hmm.
And our lives can be a living testimony every day of his goodness. And we're not competitive, you know, we are people who celebrate you no matter where you're at in your giftings. And just like us mamas, you know, we want our kids to grow up and be successful and grow way past where we ever went, you know. You want your kids to excel. And we're like that when it comes to ministry. Like, we don't care if you go above and beyond where we are. We want our ceiling to be your floor. And so we hope you can come.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just a recap that the early bird special does go till June 8th. And you can message us anytime. We are excited to host you, and we just want to watch you come alive. And you deserve a girls' weekend. So,
So I guess we will meet next Sunday at 8 o'clock, bar any technical problems like we had this week. But yeah, we're excited to see what God is doing in real time next week. I'm a little nervous to know what the subject is because it's been so close to the heart, right? Maybe I don't know. We might talk about the last gardening weekend, but I have a feeling it'll be something,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think we are definitely learning, you know, when Paul talked in the Bible about, you know, that he boasted on his weaknesses. We are making ourselves, we are making ourselves an example.
Yeah. We got plenty of weaknesses to go around. God can be really strong. All right.
So thank you for joining us tonight, and message us if you have any questions about the retreat, July 5th, 6th, and 7th. We really want you to come. So thanks for joining us tonight.
Have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.